I was one of the women who came on the internet and posted a video of my husband, and the internet was like, what the?
That's why they make sure to separate women from their support groups.
But I say all of this to say that women, when they're in these situations, they don't realize. You are so conditioned to their behavior, you are so taught that what is going on is okay. And because we were taught from a very young age that if you're a woman, a relationship is work.
Like what she's describing is just like a glimpse into a relationship with men and how men consistently don't show up in the relationship and put all of the weight on the woman. Society, aka men, we really have done like a number on women because we make women, we gaslight women so much that when it comes to like the bare minimum, let me put it like this: women expect to be in a relationship with a man that they have to wait to grow up. Like they have to wait for the man to mature. They have to wait for the man to like learn how to love them. Like women fully expect to be in a relationship with a man that they are going to have to teach, that they're going to have to water and nurture and watch grow. Right? Men, we are not told or sold on the idea that when we get into a relationship with a woman that we are going to have to wait for her to mature or grow up or anything like that. We are told we're gonna have to mold her, we're aka manipulate her, but we're never told that, like, yeah, man, you just gonna have to just accept that she's not gonna be able to cook or clean. Like, yeah, man, you just gonna have to accept, like, she just gonna be like a shitty fucking parent to y'all first like 2 or 3 kids. You know what I'm saying? Like we do not have to accept that as men. Like society does not teach men that they have to accept subpar behavior from women at all. That is not something that is taught to men. But that shit is beaten into women. It is beaten into women. And that's how women end up in shitty ass relationships with terrible men who don't deserve a fucking minute of their time, but they end up married to the men. They end up having babies with the men because society, aka men, right? They gaslight women so much so that the most toxic behaviors of men become accepted. They become acceptable.
I was one of the women who came on the internet and posted a video of my husband, and the internet was like, what the fuck? Okay, this was a while ago. This was COVID times, right? Okay, so it's COVID, and we're at home. I think we had McDonald's, and my ex-husband was feeding my son. And now he was joking, in my opinion, joking, right? Now, I'd been in this relationship for 4 years, no, 5 years at this point. So he's joking with my son and he's like cursing. But what he was saying, I thought was funny because, again, I have been with this person for 5 years. And I'm not going to give you any contextual in the background yet, but I post the video and I start getting comments from people. And this was the first video I'd ever posted on TikTok before I ever had a platform, before I thought of a platform on TikTok was even a concept in my brain. So I post it and I start getting comments of like, why would he talk to your son this way? Like, this is not funny. Why are you guys laughing? All this stuff started coming in. And I think it was like 4 or 5 comments deep. And I remember going to him and being like, hey, people are saying this on the internet. Like, I'm starting to question things, like this is weird. And he was like, why would you care what people on the internet have to say? Like, they don't understand the context, they don't understand the this, they don't understand the that. Like, people.
This is why, men, you cannot have healthy people around unhealthy people. This is why men don't want women to gossip. This is why men don't want women to tell their stories on, like, this is the exact reason why. Right here, exactly what she's about to describe. This is exactly the reason why. This happened to him. That's how, in his mind, he's like, man, he's the outside. You got to block the haters. And no. They're not haters. They're just normal people. And they're like when you post something problematic on the internet, you have, depending on the virality of the video, you have anywhere between hundreds to thousands to millions of people seeing these videos. And you can say whatever the fuck you want to say. But if you got 1 million people that saw the video and you got 30,000 comments and you got 1,000 comments of people being like, that's a problem, A normal person, they're going to see that. That's going to raise an alarm in the average person's mind. Why is it problematic? It's going to make an average person start to question things. And that's why men can't stand when women talk about their relationships online openly. That's why men don't want women to talk about their relationships with their friends because and their family because they are abusers are deathly afraid that other people are going to put it together. That's why they make sure to distance to separate women from their support groups. Like hella abusers. Oh, don't go out with Shirley anymore. She's a hater. She's always hating on you. Shirley was just keeping in the bean the whole time. Oh, I don't like your sister. Your sister's always hating. Your sister's keeping it a buck. Shit happens all the time.
On the internet are just miserable. So the gaslighting ensues, right? But what he hadn't known is that my sister was already in my ear being like, I don't like him. Like something's not right. I remember her sitting me down into the relationship and like crying, having a breakdown. And she's like, I don't recognize my sister. Like, what is going on here? She didn't come to my wedding. And side note, I tried to call my wedding off. Like we were getting married in January and I think I sat down in like December and I was like, hey, like you're unhappy, I'm unhappy. Why are we getting married? Why are we doing this if we're clearly not in a good place? And I don't think it's going to end well. And he again, the gaslight, like just sobbing hysterically, like I wanted to do this forever. His words, I've wanted to do this forever. Please don't take this away from me. What are we going to tell people? Like everyone's already planning on coming because we were doing a destination wedding. We end up getting married. But within so it's been a year, 6 months ish, a year since we were married, and I was like, this is not going well. Like we shouldn't have gotten married. This is not going well. He ended up throwing a cup of water in my face. Okay, that was the thing that ended up like ending our marriage. But I say all of this to say that women, when they're in these situations, they don't realize you're so conditioned to their behavior. You are so taught that what is going on is okay. And there were so many times that I checked in with people in my life, and the only person who really ever said anything about him, that not liking him, not agreeing with, like having any issues with my ex-husband, was my sister. She was quite vocal about it but she had come to stay with us for a couple months, and she literally was like, what the fuck is this? Like, you guys are always fighting. Like, this is not healthy. Like, what are you doing? Like, she very much was the only person that was extremely vocal. And now she's my younger sister. So I just assumed, honestly, that she just didn't understand how hard and how much work relationships were. That was the mentality I had in my head, because we were taught from a very young age that if you're a woman, a relationship is work. A relationship is supposed to be you giving. It's supposed to be you meeting this other person. And what I never realized is that I was consistently the one like going more and more and more. When I see these women posting things on the internet like, oh, my husband packed my lunch and he put dog food in it, and her thinking it's funny and it's a joke, she probably actually thinks it's funny and it's a joke. But not only that, but everyone around her is also somewhat enabling this behavior. And one of the things that I've said a lot of the times is, if you're coming out of a toxic or an abusive relationship, you really need to look at the people around you. And a lot of people take issue with that because you don't have a lot of community around you after you come out of those relationships, because they've alienated a lot of people. But the only people that they won't alienate away from you are people who enable their behavior.
I'm not the by the way, that's exactly what I was saying about how the men, like separate the people who would like, expose them, from the woman. They're like, oh no, you can't kick it with her. You can't be around him. Oh, he's a hater. She's a hater. The internet's a hater. But yeah, this right here is like exactly it's just like what she's describing is just like a glimpse into a relationship with men, and how men consistently don't show up in the relationship and put all of the weight on the woman. Like, they put everything emotionally on the woman. It's on her. If there's any problems, the woman needs to address it, right? Like, there be times when there's a rift between the man and the woman. You know what I'm saying? And maybe both of them are kind of contributing to it even, but the man won't say anything about it. He waits until the woman does. That becomes cumbersome. That becomes a very heavy task to have to shoulder, over and over and over again. Just you being the only one that wants to work on the relationship or whatever. You know what I'm saying? When there's a whole other person in the relationship with you, you're just like, wow, why the fuck am I doing all the heavy lifting? Happens all the time. Happens all the time.
around you after you come out of those relationships because they've alienated a lot of people, but the only people that they won't alienate away from you are people who enable their behavior. My ex-husband really loved my mom. Really loved my mom. And now me and my mom have made a lot of strides in our relationship. We've worked a ton on our relationship. I've gone to therapy. She's gone to therapy. We talk every day. We talk a lot about our relationship, a lot about childhood. But she was one of the people that was like, a relationship is a lot of work. Like, she convinced me to stay with him a year longer. I had friends around me at the time that convinced me that what was going on was very normal because in their mind, it was very normal. And those were people that my ex-husband had no issue with because they enabled his bad behavior. So when these people come on the internet and they post videos and they don't understand why you're getting upset, it's because everyone in their life has normalized shitty men's behavior, including themselves. And anytime that they've gone to someone for advice about their relationship, like, oh, we're having issues, they're getting gaslit by not only the man, but everyone in his close circle, all his friends and family, if he has any remaining in his close circle, and all of her friends and family that have chosen to stand by this guy. And generally, not a hard fast rule, but generally, if you're someone who's in a relationship with a man like that and you don't know the signs to look out for it, I would guess that the people around you, your friendships and things like that, they're also kind of down that manipulative, toxic rabbit hole as well.
I am not that friend. I am not that friend. You can ask any of my friends, ask my I'm the friend, I'm the family member that, like, you tell me something that somebody's doing, I'm gonna be like, what? That's problematic as fuck. I'm really big on that. Because I want people to do, I want my friends and my family to do that with me. And I'll be honest, they don't. They don't. I have been terrible at times and nobody called me out outside of my wife. And I would tell people what I was doing, and they'd be like, "Oh, yeah, women be tripping." You know what I'm saying? Or like, even when I would talk to like a woman friend or a woman family member or whatever the case may be, they'd be like, same shit, like, "Oh, that's just like par for the course. You guys are it's just growing pains and da da da." It's because they're all speaking from a place of trauma, so they haven't processed their own shit. You know what I'm saying? So of course they're gonna just pass that shit right on to me, like, "Nah, that's okay, man." You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we get it, man. It be hard. I understand, man. I mean, you've been working all day. She needs to understand that as a man, you just need your time you need your time to yourself when you come home. Like, I never had men tell me, be like, bro, you need to come home and show up for your wife. That conversation, to this day, it hasn't happened with my friends. Thank God. You know what I'm saying? Like with my male friends or, I would say like a lot of my old friends, I got some new friends now that would call me out, but like, nah, like conventionally or traditionally, or you know what I'm saying, those people never called out my problematic behavior.
I mean, I had a friend she was a personal training client who became a friend, and I remember going to her and I was like, hey, I'm having all these issues, da 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 da. Her and my mom were the two people that were like, that's just a relationship, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of this, it's a lot of give, you have to give, you have to give, because that's what they experience in their own life. Now, after I ended things with this man and me and this girl are going somewhere one time, she was talking about her sister and how her sister's husband basically was going to cheat on her if she didn't have intimacy with her husband. Basically, women should expect to be cheated if they're not having intimacy with their husband. And now, me being the wife that was not having intimacy with her husband, I was sitting there going, well, what is he doing that makes her not want to have intimacy with him? Like most people who are in relationships and are, heterosexual, they want to have intimacy with their partners. And if they're not wanting to have intimacy with their partners, there's generally something going on that's making that happen. Whether it's the labor in the household, whether it's financial struggle, like whatever's going on, you generally want to connect with the person that you are in love with. And if you're not wanting to do that, there's generally a specific reason. And I remember sitting this and she goes, no, like if a man cheats on you, that's your fault. And I remember sitting back in our friendship and kind of like starting to separate myself in that moment because I was like, oh, this kind of mentality is not healthy for me to be around, especially after leaving my ex-husband. And now what I found is when I would lean into her and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, trying to rely on her as a friend, she would start to try and control my behaviors. She would tell me, you need to go and come this type of job. You need to go back to school for this. You need to do this. And she was very, very, very controlling, even in a friendship. And I realized, oh, I've allowed people around me who have the same pattern of behavior as my ex-husband. So it took rooting out not only the relationship I had with my ex-husband, but also reestablishing the relationship I have with my mom, reestablishing the relationship I have with my sister, and then also rooting out all of these friendships that I thought were good friendships. She wasn't the only one. Almost every single close girlfriend I had around me was perpetuating abuse patterns and or victims of abuse themselves. And when I would try and be like, hey, this is not healthy, they could not see it, did not want to see it. So when you see these women coming online and then they get defensive over their husband, it's because they most likely are getting this backlash, and then they're going to the people in their lives and saying, hey, am I not seeing this clearly? And the people around them are also not seeing this clearly. That's just the reality that we live in currently. Emotional abuse is really not talked about. It's really not dissected a lot. And a lot of the times people think that emotional abuse is not the same as physical abuse, or like even when I tell people like, oh, he threw a cup of water in my face, so many men and so many women will be like, that's not physical abuse.
That is literally physical abuse. It's a physical act. The water hit you, like water can hurt, right? Water can hurt depending on how hard he threw it, but that is physical, that is violence. No doubt about it. No question about it. And it's like what happened the other day when I shared that video. It was like that woman was like, she was crying and she was breaking down and she was like, but I don't know if this is abusive or not because he didn't hit me. He didn't punch me. Again, back to my original statement. Women are so gaslit by men that they think oftentimes that the only form of abuse is a man punching her or worse, and that's just simply not the case.
It is physical abuse, and the physical abuse started with him throwing remotes and slamming doors. Physical intimidation is a form of physical abuse, even if they're not directly putting their hands on you. And when I look back at the relationship, he taught me how to do Muay Thai and kickboxing, and I remember we would go to the gym and do Muay Thai and kickboxing, and he would hold pads for me because he had been doing it his whole life. And he would hold pads for me, and then he would ask me to hold pads for him, and that man would take out every ounce of anger and frustration he would have on those pads, to the point where people in the gym would be looking at us like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And at the time I was like, oh, he's so strong, he's so this, he's so that. No, that man was in a way beating me publicly. Even though he wasn't physically putting his hands on me, he was putting them on pads, I was still taking the brunt of kicks and punches. So even this conversation, it's about dog food in a bag, but it's really about emotional abuse. And it's of the fact that a lot of people don't really realize that emotional abuse is just the stepping stones into physical abuse. There was a guy, I believed he worked for the FBI, and he came on and he said, if your partner calls you a bitch, he will put his hands on you. And if he'll put his hands on you, he will unalive you. It may take him 20 to 30 years, but we always hear of these people saying, oh, I never thought he was capable of that. I never thought he could do that. Well, the signs were always there. We're just told that they're not. And it starts with simple things like putting dog food in your girlfriend's lunch as a joke. A joke. I myself get frustrated with these women because they will come on the internet and they will put out these things, and then when they get pushback, they start getting offended. And the reality of the situation is it might be the starting point of their divorce. I've seen women come on the internet, and I want to say that when people on the internet were calling out the behavior that I thought was very normalized because I was in it every day, it might have taken me, 6 months, a year to really like recognize it. And it's still like something that you years later realize, oh, that was not normal. Which is why I do think we should be calling out when women post things like this. Because even if it's not the woman posting it who has the realization, it's the woman seeing the comments. It's the woman realizing, oh, it's not normal for my partner to hate me.
Now I talk about this often, about how men, call women the B word and call women hoes, 304, stuff like that, right? Um, exactly what she said. That is how I think about it now. When I was growing up, of course, we all said B's and 304s and all of that stuff to just describe women in general. But think about how sick that is. Like you are just, before the woman even has a chance to prove herself, you're already dehumanizing her. So imagine what that is going to feel like or be like in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like you as the man and her as the woman, how do you think you're going to treat her if every single time you refer to her, you refer to her as something that is not human, or someone that you view to be less than human, a sex worker, a dog, whatever. Of course, you don't think there's anything wrong with unaliving animals, killing animals. We eat steaks every day. We eat chickens every day. You know what I'm saying? Like that makes perfect sense. She's not even human. She doesn't feel pain like we do. Now you can say, "Oh, it ain't that far." Then prove it. Then prove it. Prove me wrong. Show me how it's not connected to that. Show me a man that ain't. Show me a man that's abusive that doesn't call his woman out of her name. You know what I'm saying? Show me a man that don't lay hands on a woman, that don't call a woman a B word or a 304. Show me a man that ain't controlling. You know what I'm saying? Like, it all goes hand in hand, bro. The jokes, all of it, it all goes hand in hand. That's why you got to nip it in the bud as a man. None of the jokes got to go. All of it has to go. Root and stem, or it will grow inside of you, and it will fester, and it will become a problem and an issue, not only in your life, but in your woman's life and in your child's life.